Hey, hey troops, Roxee here and welcome to Roxee Plays Games and welcome to a brand new game on the channel. Before I get into today's video, I want to do my usual thank you. So thank you for everyone who's liked my previous videos and thank you for everyone who has subscribed to the channel, including my latest subscriber Johnny. Johnny is actually from Van Ham gaming community. So Van Ham, thank you very much as well for asking people to come over to my channel and give me a subscribe. That's really appreciated, matey. Yeah, Van Ham, I was watching a stream of his. I've been watching his videos for quite some time now, but due to the fact that I work in the evenings, I keep missing his streams, and I managed to catch a couple of his streams, one of them being Kerbal Space Program 2, and it kind of inspired me to actually jump in and play. I played a lot of Kerbal Space Program 1, the first one, and I haven't actually played 2 purely because I've been put off by a lot of negativity in it, but a lot of stuff has gone on, a lot of fixes have gone on. There's a new update out at the moment for science. This is out now and it's also on sale on Steam, and I thought, you know something, I'm gonna jump in there and I'm gonna play. I'm gonna put some videos out there. I'm gonna thank everyone that's been watching my previous videos, and this is a precursor to my live stream that I want to do. I'm not sure when I'm going to do it. Potentially Christmas Eve. I might do it tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what's going on. Either way, I do want to do a live stream, but maybe it'll just, excuse me, I've got hiccups. Maybe it'll just end up being a normal video. But yeah, loads of what's it call it? Videos on, not videos, loads of games on Steam at the moment that are on sale. So I'm going to be doing a giveaway. I have mentioned this before, but I'm going to definitely be going to be doing a giveaway. And if you are interested, very, very simple, guys and girls. All you need to do is like this video, subscribe to the channel, and in the comments, just say hi or hello or anything like that. But just say you're here so I know who has actually watched this video. Because obviously it doesn't show you who's liked the videos, it just says that the number of people that have liked or disliked, but it doesn't show you who has done it. So like the video, subscribe to the channel, and just put a little comment in below, and I will be doing a giveaway on or for Christmas Day. I'll probably end up doing it Christmas Eve, certainly if I do the live stream, and it's my birthday as well on Christmas Eve, so you got to give me some subscribes for that, haven't you? Right, that's enough waffling on for this video. Oh yeah, I was going to show you, look at this on my my list of wrong monitor, this one here. Look at all of these games that are currently on sale. Ooh, loads of loads. I've just added Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Breakpoint, $9.99, 80% off. I wanted this game for a long time. But yeah, I've got loads of games here, all on sale. And then a load of games that are coming soon that I am looking forward to. Right. Kerbal Space Program 2. Let's get playing. I'm going to do the tutorial. So I'm going to go single player. We're going to go start campaign. So it's got 2 modes, sandbox and exploration. We're going to do the exploration. It's kind of like a career, but not a career, if that makes any sense. We're going to leave it on normal difficulty, and we're going to call this a YouTube tutorial. This is going to be the campaign, so we're just going to go through this tutorial. I don't know how long it's going to take. We'll go from the Roxee's Space Champs. Let's give it a new flag. What's this one? Let's go for this crazy one here. And we're going to go for red. Oh, I didn't actually choose a red there, did I? Red and black. That's my agency colours. And start campaign. So yeah, 2 days until my birthday, big birthday. I'm currently drinking a Bailey's right now. I'm on holiday mode, but I'm back in work on the 26th, so I haven't got long left off. And it's been quite a while since I've done my last video, but yeah, it's been really busy. I'm burnt out from work, to be honest. Completely burnt out.
Your new space program, leaping forward into the cosmos. Since the dawn of Kerbal kind, we have looked to the sky and wondered what sublime mysteries lie hidden in the darkness, like jewels never beheld. These untold treasures may soon reveal themselves due to the efforts of recently founded Kerbal Space Program.
Oh my! I think that might have been the only copy of the orientation film. Hold on! Slides, somewhere. Welcome to your first day running the Kerbal Space Program. This campus hosts the greatest ever gathering of astronomers, astronauts, and engineers. After years of focused effort, this collection of geniuses has created several very impressive buildings. We believe we have all the necessary pieces to take our first steps off the ground. The best way to advance our technologies further is to get up there and learn by doing. All we need now is somebody to show us how to put all these parts together. Well, we also need somebody to help us out with the flying. We need a lot of help, actually. That's why you're here. My name is Paige, by the way. If you need any hints, feel free to visit me over at the training center. Everything in there is well padded, so it's a great place to get up and running. Welcome aboard!
Well, straight off the bat, that was kind of cool. So I have watched a few videos, and obviously I watched Van Ham Gaming's live stream a few days ago, and I will say the game is 100% better than the original base game of KSP1. Obviously, it got improved over time, and a lot of people modded it, and I put mods on. I've got modded episodes as well. It looks fantastic modded, but the base comparison of this compared to KSP1, this is much better, and it's got a long way to go. Don't get me wrong. I'm guessing there's still bugs. Multiplayer still hasn't been released for it. I don't know when that's coming, but either way, it is much better off the bat. So I'm going to stay positive. I'm going to play it. We're going to do the tutorial today, and then next episode we will start going through whatever it is for the campaign or exploration, whatever you wish to call it. But let's get cracking on. Hello and welcome to Kerbal Space Center. This campus has everything you need to turn your fledgling space program into the stuff of legends. Are you playing? Right, okay, we'll just have this up here. This is kind of showing you where everything is, I guess. I'll leave these up here if you wish to read. Vehicle assembly building. The training center. That's what we're going to be doing today. Right, so got the runway. I've got two runways, very long runways. I think from what I've heard, they've actually designed this for multiplayer in mind. You know, you've got multiple launch pads, but obviously we're playing single player. But we're going to go to the training center. Training center is where we go to learn how to build and fly rockets, planes and rovers. Lessons can take place in a simulation and can start a lesson at any time, even in the middle of an active flight. When you are done, will put you right back where we found it. That's kind of cool. So you can be doing something, if you're not too sure how to do it, you can jump in here. You don't need to do this training center tutorial at all, but I thought I'd just go through it anyway. Just get the hang of the controls and everything. I know the basics of KSP. I know all of the, you know, atmosphere, I was going to say, apparatus and all those bits and pieces. I know all of that. I know how to maneuver planes, spaceships. It's just whether this is going to be exactly the same. But from what I've seen, other than the interface looking a little bit different, it is pretty much the same sort of thing. Right, space is the place. We've got 7 to do here. How do rockets work? Launch a test rocket, simple rocket construction, VAB cam control, staging a rocket, altimeter and time warp, and landing and recovery. Right, let's go through them.
Space is the place.
Okay, this is kind of cool. Cartoony, but cool.
So you want to get to space. Have you tried rockets? Rockets use fuel and engines to create thrust, which propels them forward. When a fuel tank is empty, it is dropped to stay as lightweight as possible, allowing the rocket to go even faster. These tanks, as well as other expendable parts of a rocket, are called stages. Different stages do different things. Often the first stage is very powerful, with just enough fuel to get the vehicle through the atmosphere. The second stage usually has a low-thrust engine that, while not as powerful, is more fuel efficient. After dropping the heavier first stage and leaving the atmosphere, the second stage engine pushes the much lighter second stage to orbital speed.
That is pretty much the basics.
The final stage parachutes back down to the surface, ideally in one piece.
Okay, next. I like it how it's giving
Welcome
the...
to the launch pad.
Sorry.
As you embark on your journey into rocketry, it's important to get all the crashing out of your system here in the simulator. It really cuts down on the awkward phone calls. Today, you'll be launching into the virtual skies over KSC, where you'll learn how to control a rocket. Let's learn how to rotate the flight camera. That way, you can see the launch from your favorite angle.
Okay.
Great. You can also zoom the camera in and out.
So graphics are pretty good, aren't they? Say that. Zoom in and out.
Nice. Go ahead and pick your favorite view for this launch. Your rocket is ready for launch. Every good launch starts with a big green button and lots of fire. Most bad launches do too, actually.
Right, so the UI is different. I don't know if there's any way of moving things into different places, but this is understandable. You've got your speed here, surface and orbit speed, ground and sea. I'm just left clicking, by the way, with my mouse. I'm just guessing at this sort of stuff because, like I say, it's very similar to KSP1. We've got our RCS, SAS. A lot of people have asked me in the past, do you need SAS when you're coming in on with your final pod? Yes and no. You don't need it on if you're pointing in the right direction, but it may wobble a little bit, and it is possible, depending on the speed, that you do lose a little bit of control and it starts spinning. So sometimes it is advisable to put it in the right orientation and then have this on. Sometimes I'll have it on, sometimes I'll have it off. It's no requirement to have it on. We've got our apoapsis and periapsis altitudes and how long it's going to take for those to reach. This is our speed, so we can control time warps and stuff. I'm not sure about game view, map view, tracking station. Okay, cool. That's very straightforward. Right, let's do what it's telling us to do. Let's go. Oh, and we're off.
Looking good. Ascend
Thank
to
you.
1,000 meters, and then we'll learn some controls.
Look at that view. Got docks there.
Okay, you're a kilometer up. You can still crash, but you'll have more time to correct your course if you start pointing at the ground. Let's learn some rocket controls.
Okay.
When flying a rocket or a plane, we have specific terms for moving. Pitch tilts your rocket's nose up and down. Nice pitch. Now pitch up until you're flying straight up. Let's move on. Yaw steers your rocket left and right. Try it now. Now yaw to the left. Excellent. Now for the final control. Roll rotates your rocket clockwise and counterclockwise. Try it now. That's the basics of rocket flight.
Hey.
Feel free to experiment with the controls. We can move on when you're ready.
Right. I am now a rocket pilot. Haha. This is probably really good for someone that's never played KSP. I think for anyone that
So
has,
you want to get to space. It's
bit
time
basic.
to make a rocket.
but it's handy to kind of refresh yourself if you haven't played for a while.
A simple rocket requires 4 crucial components: a command module, fuel tank, engine, and parachute. Let's start by learning how to add a command module. A command module allows us to control our vessel. As long as there is at least 1 command module on board, our rocket will be operational. This rocket will use a command pod, which can be manned by a Kerbal and is located in the pods category. Or multiple Kerbals. It all depends on the crew capacity of the part. For this lesson, we're going to make a small rocket, so we need a small command pod. Let's add this one.
I like how they got names: Explorer, Tin Can, Gumball, Tuna Can, Sightseer, Cockatoo, and Wanderer.
Great! It doesn't look like much, but it's a promising start. The next thing our rocket needs is a fuel tank. Fuel, or propellant, is an expendable resource used to power our vessels. Without fuel, we won't be going anywhere, let alone space. Let's look at the small fuel tanks. How about that one? Rocketry Weekly calls it good enough. How exciting. Notice the part is once again attached to your cursor. If you place your cursor near the bottom of your command pod, you'll see it snap into place. Then left-click to attach it. Now that's beginning to look like a rocket. Well, almost. We need an engine. Here at the KSP, we have 4 different types of engines: launcher, sustainer, orbital, and deep space engines. To break free of Kerbin's soupy atmosphere, we want either a launcher or sustainer engine. I personally like sustainers. What can I say? They keep me going. Now let's add the sustainer engine to the fuel tank.
Right, so we've got sustainers, deep space. So they all in? Oh, they're not in order of deep space and launchers, sustainers. Okay. Thrust. So the 2. Well, there's more of the stuff to look at. Obviously, you got the weight and stuff like that. But the things that we want to be concentrating on future-wise is the ISP1 atmosphere and ISP vacuum. The atmosphere is obviously when we're in the atmosphere, and vacuums when we're in space. And they're all different, as you can see here. Some of them will be more efficient in a vacuum. Some of them will be more efficient in the atmosphere.
Excellent! Our rocket is looking pretty great. We just need one final touch. As is, our rocket can absolutely take flight, but if we want our pilot to survive the landing, we need to attach a parachute to the top of their command pod. Our one Kerbal rocket doesn't weigh much, so we only need an extra small parachute. Let's go with that one. Now, all we need to do is put it on top of the command pod. It won't do as much good on the bottom. Congratulations! You've just built a rocket. Are you sure you haven't done this before?
Well, you know, maybe. Maybe I have. Okay, next.
As you start to build rockets, you'll want to see your designs from other angles. Let's learn how to manipulate the camera inside the vehicle assembly building. First, let's rotate the camera. Nice! Now let's zoom the camera in and out. Great! Now let's pan the camera up, and you can also focus your camera at a specific part. If you want to view your rocket from the top, front, or sides, switch to blueprint mode. If you ever get lost in the VAB, you can always reset the camera.
Home.
Nice. Now you can get at those hard-to-reach parts of your rocket.
Okay. Really straightforward.
Your rocket's ready. Let's take it out for a little hop.
Ooh. Let's go.
Let's move this rocket to a launch pad.
Something that we'll be looking at in future episodes is this little symbol, icon, whichever you want to call it, the triangle with the little letter. It looks like a U, but it's actually a V. This is delta V, and this is what we will be looking at for speeds and stuff that the rocket can do, and this currently got a delta V of 1,179 meters per second.
Welcome to the launch pad. Today you'll be flying straight up. Your rocket should do fine without any steering inputs, but if things get out of line somehow, feel free to intervene.
Yeah, we'll be using that math in future episodes to work out whether we can get into orbit and go to other planets and moons and stuff. Oh, here we go. Lots of sparks and stuff going off. And we're off! Pressing rapid.
You've cleared the launch tower and your flight is underway. Let's learn about staging. Rockets are constructed in sections called stages. Each stage is designed for a different part of a mission. When a stage completes its job, it's dropped to shed weight.
Okay.
On your right, you'll find the staging stack. It displays all of the functions contained in each stage. Every time you select the Go button, you'll activate a new stage, starting from the bottom of the stack. Each stage's fuel supply is shown on a bar next to the stage. Your active stage, Stage 1, still has a little fuel in it. When it goes dry, you'll drop that stage by selecting Go. Your first stage is out of fuel, and all all it is doing is slowing you down. To drop that weight, you're going to activate your next stage. That will activate a decoupler, which will drop your empty stage. It will also activate your next engine. Once you activate a stage, there's no going back. Ready? Hit go to lose that mass.
There it goes.
Congratulations! You're nearly to space, and your next set of fuel tanks are empty. Now is a good time to drop them. Activate the next stage to separate those tanks. Your capsule will now continue coasting up. All that's left to do is gaze back down at Kerbin and wonder if you remembered to lock your car. Nice work! Your capsule has a lot of momentum. If you're curious how high up you are, take a look at your altimeter. You're so high that you can see the curve of the horizon.
Yes, we can. So this is our altitude. Like I said earlier, you can click on sea and ground to get the correct altitude. Obviously, if you're over land, you want to have your ground altitude. And we can see here, currently with the speed that we're traveling, 544 meters per second, which obviously going to slow down because you haven't got an engine running. We're going to currently reach an altitude of 41,200 meters. That will drop down because obviously we're still going through the atmosphere, so we've still got drag. But if we was in space, then this would not alter whatsoever.
Rocketry involves a lot of waiting between the cool explosions. You can speed up time by selecting the time warp controls at the bottom of your screen.
So you can see our speed is slowing down because we haven't got any rockets pushing us, and the altitude is also dropping slowly. And that will eventually stop once we reach a certain altitude where there's no friction.
Check out your altimeter. See how quickly you're about to start falling back down. Let's slow down and enjoy. Great job. You're now a master of time. Try not to use this new power for evil.
Wahaha, I wish. Right. There we go. If we was in space, the speed as well wouldn't drop. It would stay the same. And now we're coming back down. So the speed's going to start increasing again.
What goes up must come down.
Yep.
Wind resistance will slow down your capsule's descent, but not enough to prevent it from turning into a bunch of tiny capsules when it lands. That's why we've attached a parachute.
Wonderful.
If you deploy your parachute too early, it'll be torn off. If you deploy it too late, you'll do some unplanned underground exploration. The sweet spot for Kerbin is between 20,000 and 2,000 meters. Okay, you're low enough to activate the final stage that contains your parachute. Hit go to pop your chute.
I wonder if you still have the same options to... Yes, you can still arm it and disarm it. When you arm it, it will automatically deploy when it gets to a safe altitude. But we'll stick with the tutorial, do what it's asking us to do.
Nice work! The parachute will trail your capsule for a bit without fully opening. Once you've slowed down enough, it'll open. Your parachute is now fully deployed and slowing the capsule to a safe velocity. Congratulations! If this were real, you'd find celebratory snacks in the VAB kitchen.
And snacks. And tutorial. Right, so that is tutorial number 1, I think. Yep, that's number 1. We might as well just go through all of them. We'll make this a whole episode. Let's go.
Missing the ground. If you want to visit space for more than a couple of minutes, you'll need to get to orbit. An object is in orbit when it's moving sideways so quickly that even as gravity causes it to fall, it keeps missing the ground. As long as that object isn't slowed down by anything, it follows the same path every time it goes around the body it's orbiting, forever. If that object is a Kerbal, it is recommended that they bring lots of snacks. So since your goal is to move horizontally at a high speed, why not launch sideways? On Kerbin, the atmosphere is like a thick soup. You waste a lot of fuel trying to fly through it horizontally. By launching vertically, you cut through the thickest part of the atmosphere as quick as possible. Most orbital rockets begin tilting toward the horizon soon after they leave the launch pad. This maneuver, called a gravity turn, uses the planet's gravity to turn the ship and reduces the amount of fuel needed to achieve a stable orbit. When launching near the equator, your gravity turns should point toward the east, since your vehicle gets a free boost from the planet's rotation. Thanks, planet! Once a vehicle is moving quickly enough that its arc will take it above the atmosphere, it shuts down its engines and coasts to space. Once it nears the top of that arc, the vehicle needs to fire its engines a second time to keep itself from falling back down to the planet. Doing this turns that arc into a nice big circle. Congratulations! You've missed the ground.
Pizza. So, concept is very simple. Putting it into practice can be a little bit tricky sometimes. Well, certainly in KSP1. Hopefully this is easier. That's all I want to say. Probably won't be on.
When you're making a rocket, it's often easiest to work top to bottom, tailoring each stage to carry the weight of everything above it. To give you a head start, I've already placed an upper stage, perfect for maneuvering in the vacuum of space. It could use another, more powerful stage to push it up to space from Kerbin's surface. Let's turn this vehicle into a multi-stage rocket. Anytime we intend to drop an empty stage after using all of its fuel, we connect it to the stage above it using a decoupler. A decoupler contains explosive bolts that, when activated by a staging action, eject the attached stage away from the rest of the vehicle.
TD12.
Add that decoupler to the bottom of your rocket. We need to attach a larger, more powerful lower stage to the bottom of your rocket. To keep things simple, I've whipped up a new lower stage in another workspace. You can bring saved vehicles and other sub-assemblies into an in-progress workspace by merging it. Let's merge my lower stage into this VAB workspace.
I like that.
Out in the real world, this list would show all of your saved workspaces. Here in the simulator, I'm only showing you the lower stage you need to merge. Now that the lower stage has been merged into your current workspace, you can see it next to the upper stage. Select the lower stage and connect it to the decoupler beneath the upper stage to create a single two-stage rocket. Perfect! Merging is a very powerful tool. Anytime you want to reuse a particular booster, lander, or other element from an existing rocket, merging saves you the hassle of making the same thing over and over.
Okay, we like that. We like a bit of merging.
Space rockets sometimes need an extra boost. In a rare case of rocket scientists naming something well, these additional rocket engines are called boosters. Boosters are attached to the sides of a vehicle to keep them out of the way of the main engines. Solid fuel rockets make great boosters. They produce a very high thrust for a short time. Let's attach some boosters to the sides of your vehicle. We'll start by attaching 4 radial decouplers that will eject the spent boosters when they're empty. To make sure that these decouplers are evenly spaced and aligned with one another, you'll be using the symmetry tool. Great! Now when you place a part on one side of your rocket, 3 more evenly spaced duplicates will appear around the rocket. Go ahead and add 4 radial decouplers. Perfect! Now you've got 4 radial decouplers exactly where they need to be.
Yep.
Let's attach those solid fuel boosters.
So this is all the same as KSP1.
Since you're still in 4x symmetry mode, simply attach this booster to one of the decouplers you just placed. That will attach copies of that booster to the remaining decouplers. Great job! You've finished your orbital rocket. You can symmetrically place up to 8 parts at once, a feat that could until now only be achieved by certain sea creatures.
Cool. Yeah, this is all very basic stuff. And like I said, anyone that's played KSP1 will probably find this a little bit slow.
Before you launch a rocket, you need to plan the order of your staging events. Nobody wants to start out their flight by popping their parachute, right? Most parts that can be staged are automatically assigned to stages. Their activation order can be seen in the staging stack. You can change when staging events occur by moving them between stages. You can also add, remove, and reorder stages. Best of all, you can do this in both the VAB and in flight.
Cool.
The staging order begins at the bottom of the staging stack. You want your boosters and main engine to fire together for maximum thrust. The solid fuel boosters are currently in the second stage. If we don't change anything, the boosters will ignite late and detach themselves at the same time. This would be embarrassing for everybody, so let's move the boosters down to stage 1.
Right, so left click. Oh, click and drag. Click and drag. There.
Your solid fuel boosters burn very hard and very fast, so they will run out of fuel first. Even though your main engine and boosters will activate at the same time, you want to drop the empty boosters before you drop your main engine. You'll add a new stage above stage 1 to do one thing. Activate the radial decouplers to jettison your spent boosters. Now move all 4 radial decouplers from stage 4 to your new stage 2. All done. Your remaining stages are set up so that stage 4 will activate your orbital stage's engine. Stage 5 will detach the orbital stage's fuel tank when it's empty. And stage 6 will deploy your landing parachute. Thanks to you, this rocket is ready to fly.
Cool. So basically, as she just said there, these two are going to fire at the same time, but these will run out first. So rather than this pulling or pushing the whole rocket up with the weight of these on, we can decouple them, so then it's got the weight of these less. And then once this runs out, we would then decouple of that, activate this one, and that one's then pushing the remainder up. And then once that runs out, we then decouple it, and then we've got our parachute. Very, very simple.
All right, we're ready to light this candle. In this flight, you're going all the way to orbit. I'll walk you through the process of launching, executing a gravity turn to get moving sideways, coasting to orbital altitude, and doing a final burn at the top of your arc to establish a stable orbit.
Okay.
Before we begin, let's talk about the nav ball. The nav ball shows your vehicle's orientation relative to the horizon. The blue half of the ball represents the sky, and the brown half represents the ground. The level indicator at the center shows your vehicle's orientation. When you turn, the ball turns. When you roll, the ball rolls. Assuming you want your rocket pointed at the sky, you'll want to see lots of blue on the nav ball. If you get confused, remember this rhyme. If the nav ball's brown, you're going down.
I'm going to refrain from saying anything
At
now.
launch, you want all your engines at maximum thrust, which means you need to set your throttle at 100%. Your solid fuel boosters are way ahead of you on this. They have no setting other than full throttle, and they can't be shut off once they're lit. Once you hit the go button, they'll go full tilt until they run out of fuel. Still, your main engine's throttle is in your control. You can see your main throttle here. Left shift gradually increases your throttle. Left control gradually decreases your throttle. Z and X instantly set your throttle to 100 or 0% respectively. Left click on the throttle will set its level where you clicked. Your fuel levels are visible within the staging stack. Right now, you can see that your main engine and 4 boosters are all topped off and ready to rumble. It's time to go. At the start, all you need to do is fly straight up. I'll check back in with you once those boosters are empty. Good luck!
Interesting. Okay, so got a delta V for each bit by clicking on this little bar here. Right, let's go. Wow, that was like instantly fast. 10,000 Gs all at the same time.
All right, it's time to start your gravity turn. A gravity turn uses the pull of the planet's gravity to help bend your vertical ascent into a horizontal arc. It's the first step to entering orbit. For our first flight to orbit, we're going to start our gravity turn up to where the air is thin, at an altitude of around 10,000 meters. To show you where to aim your rocket, I've placed a target marker on your nav ball. First, we need to get to 10,000 meters. You're going to yaw towards the east so that the target marker is in the center of the nav ball. Your vessel and nav ball should look like this example video if you're performing the gravity turn correctly.
Okay. Apoapsis is very
Way to
high
make
at the
Kerbin's
moment.
gravity work for you.
So I'm just going to
Your
drop the
current
speed off.
stage's fuel is empty. Let's drop it and activate your great job. Your
I
rocket is
didn't mean
on
to do
its
that
way
then.
to orbit. As you gain experience, you can make your gravity turns more efficient by starting to tilt your rocket soon after liftoff. Adjusting course with a series of small corrections instead of one big one will leave you with a lot more fuel when you get to orbit. Turning immediately after launch requires a very stable rocket. So if you ever have trouble keeping the pointy end up, you can try the simplified wait and turn method we use today.
Apologies if you can hear any snoring in the background. That's my
Right
nose
now, we're on a
sleeping.
ballistic trajectory.
Very
If no
loud.
further adjustments are made, your rocket will eventually fall back down to the ground. Our objective is to turn this arc into an orbit. The process of turning your trajectory into a circular orbit is called circularization. Partial credit to the rocket people on that one. It does have the word circle in it, but it's really hard to say. When planning and executing orbital maneuvers, you'll want to switch to map view, where you can see every part of your current trajectory.
Cool. Right, I wonder if this is going to be the same as KSP1.
The blue arc passing through your vehicle is its current trajectory, the path your rocket will follow if you don't touch the controls anymore. Our goal is to make that arc into a circular orbit. After you've coasted nearly to the top of this arc, you're going to point forward, and then you're going to ignite your engine. If you time this burn right, you'll never quite get to the top of the arc, as it'll keep widening in front of you until it wraps all the way around the planet.
Right, so I don't know if she'll say this later, but I'll say it anyway. There's the apoapsis, okay, so that is where we're aiming to go to. The opposite end of the apoapsis is the periapsis. Now, currently, the periapsis is somewhere inside Kerbin. Okay, so the apoapsis at the moment is 156,000 meters. We're currently at 153, so we're very close to reaching the top of the apoapsis. Once we reach the top, and you can put your cursor over it, it actually tells you as well. I'll get back on it. It did tell me. Anyway, so the apoapsis, oh there we go. The apoapsis is 153,000. No, that's our altitude, so that's what we're showing there. The apoapsis is 156. Once we reach that, we're then going to start heading down, as she already said, to minus 503,000 meters. So essentially, we're going to go through the planet. The time it's going to take to get from here to here is currently 0.25 seconds. Not long at all. Or is that 25 seconds? That actually might be 25 seconds. Hours, minutes, seconds. Yeah, so that must be seconds and that must be minutes. Yeah. So 25 seconds. So it's not long at all. So let's see what she's going to say next.
Let's break that down a little more. The top of your arc has a helpful tag in map view. It's called the apoapsis, abbreviated as AP. You're going to max out your throttle before you pass this point.
What should happen if we're pointing in the right direction, which is prograde, and we have full throttle, we should never reach this, and this time will hopefully go up, and we can adjust our speed to keep it at a nice number. We don't want it to be too far away, but at the same time we don't want it to be too close that we then end up passing it.
We're paused at just before the apoapsis. We want to go faster in the direction we're already moving, so we need to make sure our rocket is pointed forward. There's a handy marker on your nav ball called the prograde marker. That represents your forward direction. Use the Stability Assist System, or SAS, to point your vessel at that marker. You're all lined up and ready to go. The next step is to go max throttle. It can take time for your arc to fully expand into an orbit. If you look closely at where your trajectory meets the ground, you'll see it moving toward the horizon.
So what should happen is this mark here is telling us that we're going to be going into the planet by the little hazard sign. This should start pushing out, and then once it reaches a point where it's past halfway, it will then make a complete circle, and then eventually we'll get a bigger circle, and we keep it on this opposite end of the apoapsis, so the periapsis will just keep going out and out and out and out, so we'll end up like an egg shape, like that sort of shape, but obviously we want it to be nice and circular. So we need to put the throttle up. Z.
Once your trajectory reaches all the way around the planet, you'll see another marker on your orbit. This is the periapsis, or PE, the lowest point in your orbit. It'll always live on the opposite side of your orbit from the apoapsis, or highest point. By burning prograde near your apoapsis, you increase the altitude of your periapsis, the lowest point on your orbit. Here's the most important thing to remember about setting up an orbit above an atmosphere. Your periapsis must be higher than the atmosphere, or your rocket will start to slow down every time it dips into the upper atmosphere. On Kerbin, that means every part of your orbit must be higher than 70 kilometers.
See how the time's coming down now, but I can increase that or keep it very similar just by playing with this. Oh, I know she's not telling me to do that, but that's one way. We've got our circle now, but it's still going through the planet, so we're still going to collide.
Okay, your orbit is fully out of the atmosphere. Cut the throttle.
Putting the throttle.
You did it! You're in orbit! This is when I'd usually tell you to look under your seat in the simulator, where you'd find a delicious celebratory treat. Sadly, since the vending machine in the astrodynamics lab broke down, it has gotten very difficult to hide snacks anywhere at KSC. Feel free to take a moment to admire your first orbit. In a way, you've given yourself a mind snack, which is way better than the edible kind anyway. Right? Right?
Yeah, right. So yeah, as she said there, we need to make sure that the apoapsis, which is 159,000 meters, and the periapsis, which is 77,000 meters, both of those numbers are above 70,000 for Kerbin, and that means we're outside of the gravity, and it's not going to pull us in. Because if this was below 70, we'd end up going around, we'd end up hitting the atmosphere. That would slow us down a touch. We'd probably come out the other side, but as we're going through it, the periapsis would drop. We'd come out, we'd go around again, would be even lower, more gravity, more friction, more atmosphere, and that's going to keep dropping down to the point where it may take 2, 3, 4 rotations, but eventually we would then hit the surface of the planet. Yeah, and we can see those numbers here. We can see how long it's going to take. Currently we're going around, it's going to take us 32 minutes to reach the periapsis. 15 minutes to reach the periapsis, and then 32 minutes to reach the apoapsis. So 32 minutes, probably like 33, 34 minutes to do a complete orbit. And tutorial! I know I'm adding a lot of waffle into what she's already saying, but you know, I'm just kind of parting my knowledge onto people. Even though this isn't KSP1, a lot of the fundamentals are exactly the same. Right, so orbits are weird. Got an itchy eyeball.
Orbits are weird. Remember your orbiting baseball? What if you wanted to make its orbit higher? Well, it's a baseball, so grab your bat and try to hit the ball to a higher orbit. Your first thought might be to try to deflect the ball upwards. Unfortunately, hitting the ball upward bends its orbit so that it hits the ground before it can return to you. What you need to do is hit the ball in the direction it's already moving, adding to its already high velocity. Now that you've sped the ball up, why isn't it flying any higher? It just keeps whizzing by at the same height it always did. After all, I said that making it go faster would make it go higher. What gives? The ball is actually going higher, but it's going higher on the opposite side of the planet from where you're standing. You've raised its orbit, and you've learned the first lesson of orbital maneuvering. Your actions affect the opposite side of your orbit. Weird, huh? So your ball is moving faster, but it's still passing you at the same height. How do you get its orbit higher on this side of the planet? Now that you know how changes in velocity affect the other side of your orbit, you've got all you need. By adding velocity to the ball at the highest point in its orbit, you raise the lowest point in its orbit and make it circular again.
So that's what we call pushing the opposite side, and we can obviously bring it in as well, depending on which way we're facing. Well, I can't wait to actually get into proper gameplay, but I just wanted to go through the tutorial. I want to see what elements it adds in.
An equatorial orbit is good, but if you want to travel beyond Kerbin, You will need to manipulate your orbit. Let's start with something simple, expanding an orbit. We do that by increasing the value of our apoapsis. Let's get a good view. Remember how you circularized your orbit by increasing your forward velocity? To raise your orbit, you'll just do more of the same. It's time to burn prograde. Now that we're pointed the right way, we can increase the throttle and watch our orbit expand.
So because we're here, we're going to be pushing the apoapsis up. These two markers will switch around, and one of them will be on us, the apoapsis, and the periapsis will increase. Oh, sorry, the other way around, isn't it? Yeah, the periapsis will stay on us, and the apoapsis will push out. I always go get those two mixed up until they start moving.
Ooh, cut the throttle. If you overdo it, you'll leave Kerbin. Nice. That maneuver raised our orbit on the other side of Kerbin, so we will enter high orbit there. Waiting to reach a specific point can be as eventful as watching the neon stripes on your rover dry. The paint job will be worth it, but isn't it better to rush to the end? Skip ahead to the good stuff using a time warp. Like I said earlier, the highest point of our orbit is called the apoapsis. The lowest point of our orbit is known as the periapsis. By default, your camera is focused on your vessel, so if you can't see either of these points, adjust your camera. Scroll the middle mouse wheel to zoom in and out. Double-click an object to center your camera on it. Click the middle mouse button to enter FreeCam. Press Home to reset the camera to your active vessel. Excellent! You can time warp to any position on your trajectory by selecting a point on your vehicle's current path, and then selecting Time Warp to Point. Now you're way up in the sky, so high that if you circularize your orbit now, you'll be in high orbit. Wow, Kerbal Space Center looks so small from here.
Straightforward enough.
From command pods to space probe cores, a lot of critical rocket parts use electric charge. You'll want to design your rocket so it can generate and store EC. Most rocket engines generate electric charge while active, but we'll still need a way to keep our batteries full while coasting between maneuvers. Solar panels convert Kerbal's light into EC for our rockets. Small solar panels can just be placed, but large solar panels are delicate and must only be deployed once we're out of the atmosphere. I've equipped this rocket with 2 deployable solar panels. Here's a hand crank. Get to work.
I'm guessing these are batteries here. Move you out of the way. Yep, they... Doesn't actually say, but I'm guessing it's battery. And these are your solar panels.
Just kidding. There's a handy button that opens all of them with a single click. Give it a try.
Cool. That's handy.
Great. The solar panels are now extended. Light tracking solar panels only rotate on one axis, so we may need to reorient our ship to point them fully at the sun. Let's make sure the panels are getting direct sunlight by rolling our ship a little bit.
There we go. Should be good enough. No?
Excellent. The solar panels are soaking up all of those sweet photons and giving our rocket some much-needed EC. You can see the status of any solar panel within the part manager in the electrical parts menu. You can either access the app directly by clicking the app button, or you can right-click a part to directly access it in the part manager.
Oh, look at that. It's like live feed of... Oh, that's just brilliant. I'm liking this. I'm liking this a lot. Well done. Well done, guys. Now, what are we doing here? I just need to click continue. Derp.
Getting EC is one thing, and storing it is another. Most command pods have a small battery, but many missions will call for additional EC storage. When we're traveling far from the sun or going to the dark side of a planet, more batteries means more peace of mind.
Okay.
Have you seen our R&D building? Our brilliant scientists are constantly developing new technologies. New technology means new parts to play with. Exciting, right? There is one teeny catch. Our scientists don't get out much. Outside of the launch pad, the majority of the KSC's explosions happen at R&D. After the great bathroom break incident, the team has decided to stay put. Seriously, they've installed bunk beds in the break room. That's where we come in. While our scientists are hard at work, it's up to us to give them all the data they crave. Who do you think pilots our probes? We earn science by completing missions and performing experiments. Feel free to visit Mission Control for the rundown on missions. I'm here to guide you through performing experiments. Experiments are performed at research locations, a combination of place and situation. For example, low orbit and high orbit around Kerbin are two of those locations. Other situations include being landed in a certain geographic region, swimming in the water, or flying in the atmosphere over Kerbin's majestic mountains. Experiments are performed by special experiment parts. Each experiment will detail what research locations they work in, so read your part details in the VAB. Kerbals on extravehicular activity, EVA, are also able to perform experiments, but make sure they don't lock the door behind them so they can re-enter the vehicle. But Paige, you say, that's a lot to keep in mind. Is there an easy way to tell when I should perform an experiment? I've got your back. Every experiment on your vessel is tied to the Perform Experiments button. It's lit right now, so when you use it, it will activate our General Science Collection module and let us know how the mystery goo is doing. It's as easy as that. By the way, if you ever want to perform a specific experiment, or you want to see the status of an experiment, you can use the Part Action Manager. All of our experiments have been performed, and the research reports are available for us to read. Let's see what we've got.
I like that. So before, you'd have to click on the part and then do the experiment. Like clicking on the Science Junior and then running the survey. You can still do that, as she said there, or you can just click this button and it does it all. And apart from the EVA, because obviously the EVA is where you actually take your Kerbin outside of the spaceship. But yeah, that's really good. I like that. That's genius.
The research inventory shows all research reports that are on our vessel. You can see what we've learned, how much it's worth, and even transmit certain reports back to KSC. There are two types of research reports. Data and sample data reports can be transmitted back to KSC. Sample reports will need to be returned by recovering your vehicle on Kerbin.
That needed a bit of a pause there. Data and sample data reports. It didn't pause. That's fine. I get it.
Fortunately, we just got a data report, so let's transmit it.
Transmit all. Battery going down.
Transmitting requires both electric charge, EC, and an antenna to communicate back to KSC. If you're ever planning a one-way mission for science, make sure you have both.
Just looking to see whether there was any information on the speed, transfer, not speed, yeah, the speed on what the maximum speed is for transferring information, but I can't seem to find it. Might have to look at that in the VAB maybe.
At some point, the crew will run out of snacks. Did you know a Kerbal is 99.9% more likely to crash when hungry? That's when it's time to head back down to Kerbin, a planet known for its plentiful snack options. First, let's get a better view for this operation. Remember how we burned prograde to raise our orbit? To lower our orbit, we burn in the opposite direction, retrograde. SAS can really help us out here, so let's turn that on.
Retrograde. So basically what's going to happen is we'll go retrograde, and then we'll end up pulling the apoapsis in.
Now flip retrograde, the opposite direction to our rocket's movement. All right, the rocket is aligned to retrograde. Increase the throttle and burn until our trajectory is just past the atmosphere.
So we're at the apoapsis, and now we're going to be pulling from the apoapsis. We're pulling the periapsis in. We can see that going down.
As we decelerate, watch what's happening to our periapsis. Once it enters the atmosphere, this rocket is on a path back to the ground. Don't ease off the throttle yet, though. We're going to keep burning until our trajectory intercepts the ground. This should give us a good idea where our capsule will land.
So what I used to do in KSP1 is get this down to around about 40,000. Let's see what they're going to get us to do it on this.
That's it. Let's stop our burn.
Cool. So that's actually getting us to go in. I suppose, yeah, if I was in a short orbit like that, then this would make more sense. But if you was coming from the Mun as an example, you would get it to around about 40,000, maybe a little bit higher, maybe 50,000. And then as you're coming in, using the gravity to slow you down to bring the opposite side down, the apoapsis down. But yeah, this is cool.
Now that we're on a collision course with Kerbin, we need to turn that collision into something more survivable. This process of crashing without dying is called landing. Our upcoming stage will activate a decoupler, dropping the engine and exposing a very important heat shield. Why don't you do that now?
Okie dokie. Have a look at this. I always get the apoapsis and periapsis mixed up, so you'll have to excuse me. I'll probably still keep doing it wrong, but I try to keep remembering the apoapsis is always the highest point and the periapsis is the smallest point, or the lowest point, sorry. Right, stage.
Great! We're on our way down and our heat shield is exposed. Have you ever wondered what a marshmallow feels like when it catches on fire? You're about to find out.
And what I didn't do there, what I used to always do in KSP1, is if you turn sideways, it doesn't really matter which way, that way or that way, just a different direction from the direction that you're traveling, then jettison it. It's not likely to collide with you on the way down.
Okay, we're about to descend very quickly. Our friend, the atmosphere, doesn't like speeding, and it'll do everything in its power to slow us down. This tendency gets downright violent at re-entry speeds. Traveling rapidly through the atmosphere compresses the air in front of the vessel, slowing us down but generating heat. Re-entry is all about slowing down and diverting heat away from the sensitive parts of our vehicle. As our capsule descends, friction with the air generates heat. The only thing keeping us from becoming a shooting star is the disc-shaped heat shield beneath our capsule. Lucky for us, this capsule is equipped with one. Let's start by selecting retrograde.
So if we don't have SAS on, we can't point it in the direction. We'd have to do it. It'll just gradually turn over. See how it's wanting to go into this shape anyway, but you see there's quite a bad wobble. Obviously we don't want that, so we'll stick this on.
Right now,
that will
SAS
help.
is keeping the ship pointed retrograde, meaning the heat shield is facing forward. It's the only thing standing between our flammable crew and the white-hot blast furnace outside.
Like I say, you can turn this off. If you're in the right direction to begin with, it's normally okay.
Heat shields can take a beating, but they don't last forever. As it's cooked by the heat of re-entry, it sheds expendable layers of material called ablator. Once the ablator's all gone, your heat shield is as durable as a sheet of paper. Good thing you checked the durability before we took off, right? Let's watch the show. Whew, that was intense. I'd sweat if I had any pores. Now our velocity is low enough to safely deploy the parachute. Go ahead.
I just want to try something here. Let's see whether it'll let me do it. Oh, there we go. Yeah. So you can pre-arm something so that it will deploy at a safe altitude, but it's not always a great idea to do that, because sometimes what can end up happening is it deploys when you're going too fast and you're burning, and you can obviously set it on fire. I don't know if that's a thing in KSP2. We're going to take off SAS so it'll just flop down. Wonder actually if this is a thing. Yeah, so we can do that, so it's always going to be pointing up. That's handy for when you're landing, but it's always going to the SAS will try and keep it pointing upwards, or you can just leave it off. We'll have it on. Because the last thing you want is it being cockeyed like this or like that. That's not so bad, but we'll have it pointing up. It's trying to turn it over. Funny. Right, can we... how far are we? Let's speed up a little bit. I think we've got a safe landing of, I don't know if it's 8 or 10 meters per second, so we're fine. Oh, it hasn't recognised it because I didn't click on.
Thanks to the heroic efforts of
go.
our heat shield, our parachute has fully deployed and our crew will land in the correct number of pieces. Mission accomplished.
Okay, so there's one for you. Make sure that you actually follow the tutorial and don't do what I've just done. In tutorial, I think we've got one more left to do. Yes. Orbital transfer, planning a maneuver, executing a maneuver plan, and capturing. Does this mean we're heading to the moon?
Orbital transfers. As you know, the faster you go, the higher your orbit gets. If you get moving fast enough, your orbit may cross the orbit of some other object, like a moon or a planet. The closest celestial body to Kerbin is the Mun. If you're looking for somewhere else to fly a rocket, the Mun is a good choice. The real trick to getting there is timing your departure so that the Mun captures your vehicle at its highest point. If you mistime your departure, you may miss the Mun entirely, which creates a lot of paperwork. Let's assume you've left at the right time and the Mun is there to meet you. As your vessel approaches the Mun, it enters a zone in which the Mun's gravitational influence on your orbit is stronger than Kerbin's. This zone is called the Mun's sphere of influence. You've had to go very quickly to escape Kerbin's gravity, much too fast for the Mun's low gravity to capture you. If you don't slow down, your vehicle will speed past the Mun and be flung farther into space. Remember what I said about paperwork? Once you're in the Mun's gravity well, the best way to slow down is to fire your engines backwards until your trajectory becomes a nice, stable orbit. Now you're a moon of the Mun! Ha!
So we are heading to the Mun. Whoop, whoop.
Our rocket is in orbit over Kerbin and ready to fly. The mission today is to, drumroll please, intercept and orbit the Mun. To be captured by the Mun's gravity, our vessel must cross into the Mun's sphere of influence, or SOI, the zone in which its gravity is stronger than any other celestial body around it.
Now, I've done this manually, where you basically go around till you can just see the moon, or the Mun, sorry, and then you do your burn without using maneuver nodes. But obviously we've got maneuver nodes. It's going to make it a lot easier. That's what
We're going
to
to create a maneuver plan to figure out when and how long we need to fire our engines to intercept the Mun. Great! Now here's a new trick. We can select any object as a target in map view. Targeting gives us useful information and enables new tools. Once we've targeted a celestial body or other object in space, our maneuver will provide closest pass and plane angle information. This can be very helpful for meeting up with someone or something in space.
So yeah, so if I remember rightly, it's quite a while that I did this, but I think you sort of like, you get it to about this point here, and then you start your burn, and then you just wait for your apoapsis to intercept the Mun. But obviously, because we got these maneuver nodes, it makes life so much easier.
Right now, our camera is following our vessel as it orbits Kerbin. Let's adjust our camera until we can see the Mun. Then, right-click to target it. We want to place this maneuver plan with two things in mind. First, the Mun is in motion. We can't aim our spacecraft where the Mun is right now. Instead, we have to aim where the Mun will be after our vehicle has coasted all the way from Kerbin. Second, remember how increasing velocity raises the opposite side of our orbit? Since we're placing this maneuver plan where we intend to start our burn, we should place it on the opposite side of Kerbin from where we intend to intercept the Mun. Placing a maneuver plan usually involves making a best guess, and then fiddling with the maneuver until you get an intercept. Fortunately, you've got a crack navigator with you today. By my calculations, we'll want to put our maneuver here.
Not far off, eh? That's what I was kind of saying.
Excellent! We've just created a maneuver plan. While we could find out if our departure timing is correct by just picking a direction and maxing the throttle, a maneuver plan tells us in advance how much delta V we'll need, how long we'll need to burn, and in what direction our vessel will need to point during the maneuver. Grab and pull the arrows to plan a burn along that direction. This maneuver is pretty simple. We want to burn prograde and expand our orbit.
Okay, so fairly straightforward. We're going to click on the maneuver node. There's our prograde, there's our retrograde. Prograde's going to push it out, retrograde's going to bring it back in. So we need to push this out. We see the yellow line. So the yellow line is just our predicted path, not what we're actually currently doing. Our blue path is what we're currently doing. The yellow or orange path is our predicted path. can see our apple axis is moving out.
Nice! That maneuver event towards the end of your trajectory is exactly what we're looking for. It tells that if we execute this plan, we'll intercept the mun.
So that's where we're going to intercept here, which is somewhere along here. Apoapsis of 9,615 kilometers, and the mun's periapsis is 1,983 kilometers.
If a maneuver looks right, but we're not getting the intercept we expect, we can change the starting position of the maneuver by grabbing and dragging the middle of the maneuver plan along our orbit. It's very common to refine a maneuver plan by adjusting both the position of the maneuver and the direction of the planned burn. If we don't want to maneuver at all, we can delete the plan, either by right-clicking the gizmo and selecting delete, or through the burn timer.
Right, so if I'm correct in believing, I'm sure this is going to be right. So this is, we've only got the one stage, so it's telling us we're going to be using the one stage. We're going to use 823 delta V. We've currently got 2,504 delta V, so we've got plenty of delta V. We're going to start the burn in 23 minutes 24 seconds, and then we're going to stop the burn, so we're going to be burning for 45 seconds.
Maneuvers are invaluable when leaving Kerbin. Feel free to come back and practice anytime.
Okay.
We've got a maneuver plan that intercepts the mun. Now we just need to execute that maneuver and fly to the mun ourselves. Whenever we have a maneuver plan, a burn timer will appear. The timer shows you how much time is left until we need to execute the maneuver. I've paused the simulation for a moment, so this number won't count down quite yet. The timer also tells us how long we'll need to burn our engines at 100% throttle in order to complete the maneuver.
Everything I've just said, thank you. Page.
Now let's take a look at the nav ball. A new marker has joined our old prograde and retrograde markers. This is called a maneuver marker, and it shows us the orientation of our planned maneuver. We'll want to make sure that this marker is in the center of our nav ball during our maneuver burn. Luckily, we can aim at this maneuver marker by selecting the maneuver button on your SAS controls. Now your vehicle is properly oriented, and through the magic of SAS and more math than I'd like to admit, our vessel is properly oriented. We're still far from our planned burn, so let's speed things up. While we could rely on our reflexes to time warp at the perfect moment, a less stressful alternative is warping to a specific point in our orbit. See this button? Select it to warp automatically to the moment before our maneuver begins. Departure burn, here we come. Great! We've exited just before our maneuver burn, and I've paused the simulation once more. After we select Continue, remember to wait until the countdown reaches 0. Then we'll go full throttle until our burn timer reaches 0. Then cut the throttle quickly to avoid overshooting our target. Okay, get ready to hit the throttle.
So, as I was saying, that's generally where I used to do it. It's a little bit before, but it's kind of not far off at all. Not far off at all from where I used to do it in KSP1, so very similar. Oh.
Watch the burn timer. We want to stop our burn once it reaches 0.
I like how it has the little countdown there. Audio as well as visual. I nearly pressed the space bar, which would have staged my rocket, which wouldn't have been very good. Actually, has it got... I don't think it's even got a... No, this is just all one bit. So this isn't coming back. Need to get ready to stop. 5, 4...
Great work! You've successfully executed a maneuver, and now we're on our way to the Mun.
Excellent. Continue. Next.
It's going to take a while to reach the Mun, but don't let the wait fool you. We're now moving faster than any Kerbal has ever flown before. When we enter the Mun's sphere of influence, we'll be going way too fast for the Mun's gravity to capture our vehicle. To orbit the Mun, we'll need to burn retrograde once we're inside its SOI, or sphere of influence. This will slow us down enough to keep us from being whipped into interplanetary space. Let's start by time warping until we're within the Mun's sphere of influence. That's the sphere within which the Mun is the primary gravitational influence. Farewell, Kerbin! We'll miss you.
So this is where we're going to intercept. And boom!
What? Did you notice that we've got a periapsis above the Mun, but no apoapsis? That's because we're going too fast to complete an orbit before sailing past the Mun. Don't worry, we have time to adjust. Our objective is to slow down enough so that both apoapsis and periapsis are within the Mun's sphere of influence. Remember the rule of orbital opposites. Because we want to lower your apoapsis, we'll need to place our maneuver plan at the periapsis. Let's get started. In order to reduce our apoapsis, we need to slow down by burning backwards, or retrograde. This is a little like deorbiting over Kerbin, but we're going to stop burning before our trajectory meets Mun dust.
I like how it's got this little thing to show you which direction to pull.
Maneuver plan set. Next up, let's make sure we're pointed where we need to be. If the maneuver is right and we're pointed in the right direction, now we need to time warp to the right position.
We need 193 delta V, we've got 1695. Start burning 145, but we're fast forwarding.
And we're on our way.
For 9 seconds.
Almost there. When the countdown reaches 0, throttle up to start your capture burn.
Where's the Mun? Where's the Mun gone? There it is. There's the Mun, and Kerbin is just there with the sun.
Keep burning until the burn timer reaches 0. Shut the engines now. We have an orbit. Fantastic. That was some fancy flying. Looks to me like you're about ready to try this for real.
Wonderful. In tutorial. And And that is it. That is the training center done. So we'll save game. YouTube tutorial finished. Save. Excellent. Kerbal Space Center. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is the tutorial done. You could probably do that in an hour, maybe even less than that if you skip all of the conversation and just went through it. Pretty self-explanatory, fairly easy. Anyone that's played KSP1, I'm going to say that you probably don't even need to do that. You might want to just do it as a quick refresher and get used to the controls and interface, but other than that, I found that extremely simple. So next episode we are going to actually play the game as it's meant to be, and we'll see what it's got on offer. I'm quite excited, to be honest. I wish this was multiplayer, because I know there's still a lot to add to the game, colonization and all that sort of stuff, but it's got a lot going for it. It's had a rocky start. I believe with the last update, science and all of the fixes that they've done to wobbly rockets and stuff like that has saved the game. It's made it a lot better. It's got me hooked straight away. I was staying well away from it because when I read the reviews and everyone was saying how bad it was, I was like, nope, this is not for me. I'm not wasting my money on it. Now I'm more than happy. It is on sale, so go and grab it if you're interested, and stay tuned. You know what to do. Hit those usual buttons, the like and the subscribe. Don't forget, I am doing a giveaway, so if you want to be in with a chance, you need to like the video, you need to be subscribed to the channel, because obviously I can see everyone that's subscribed. Put a comment in the comments below, hi, hello, whatever you wish to put, just so that I know that you've actually watched this video, and everyone that does will be entered in. If you don't, you won't be entered. Simple as that. Stay safe, and I'll speak to you soon. Goodbye.